Things to look out for to keeping the pool clean. First and foremost is the water level should never ever get below the bottom of that skimmer. The minute that water level gets below that skimmer, it can't suck in water and it'll blow up the pump. So always make sure that you maintain the water level above the height of that bottom lip on the skimmer box. So, I don't know if that can be seen, but that there, water level's got to be at least halfway up the skimmer box. The skimmer box has a mesh basket that will collect leaves, so that needs to be tapped out, cleaned of any debris and put back in. Beside the skimmer box, about a metre 1200 to the left of the skimmer box, so close to towards the house, there is the water exit. So whenever the pump is running, water needs to be coming or going into the skimmer box and coming out of the exit. That means the water's gone down into the skimmer box, into the filter, into the pump, into the shed, and then filter itself and then come out through that box there, through that outlet. That outlet has an elbow on there, and it's a great idea to angle that elbow on an angle so the water forces the water to circulate around the pool, so if there's any leaves on the surface they will eventually get sucked up. So I'll show you what that looks like. That's what that outlet looks like with the 90-degree on it. So I have it facing towards the house, and what that'll do is eventually create a whirlpool, and it allows all the leaves to gather towards the center of the pool as well, so they're easy to scoop up, and that water will circulate around and eventually make its way towards the skimmer box, where any debris on the surface will be sucked up into that net, into that mesh basket. So that way that'll help keep the pool clean. The other equipment you need to help keep the pool clean and help with the backwashing or cleaning of the filtration system is you need that net, this is all found in the shed. You need that scooping net that helps in being able to pull debris off the surface and even debris that's semi-submerged, so you can scoop that up. The other thing you'll need is that hose there and that thing there. So that hose, one end of that hose goes into that, and the other end of the hose goes into there, and the way it goes into there is via this thing. So what you need to do is turn the pump off, make sure that the pump is off, place that in there, that goes in there, and once that goes in there, that'll start then sucking through there. But you need to make sure that this hose has no air in it when you submerge it. So what you do is you just lower one end of the hose in, make sure that the hose is getting filled up with water, and then plug one end into your broom, whatever you want to call it, vacuum broom, and the other end plugs into this duvallaki here, and then you can go and switch your pump on and listen out and make sure that you've got suction. Always keep the head of that broom submersed under the water, that way you can vacuum up the pool. Another filter mesh basket is just there. The way to undo that is you need to make sure that the pump is switched off. The best way to do that is just unplug the power to it, and what you need to then do is, if you were to open that up once the motor is off, the water from the pool will rush out of this and overflow. So you need to go and block off your inlets, and the way you do that is with these two gadgets, and I'll show you how they work in a second. So making sure that the pump is unplugged, what you need to do is open up your skimmer box, remove the lid, remove the mesh basket, give that a good tapping upside down, clear it, and there's this little gadget here. This gadget here goes in, you can see that's where the pipe work goes, that goes to the garage, the pump. That needs to go down into that hole and just give it a bit of a turn, and that now will create a seal, and no water will be able to flow from the pool into the skimmer box. And also what you need to do is remove that elbow, which is just there. So remove that elbow, and there's this little gadget here, and that plugs into where the elbow was, and as you can see it's blocked off there, and that will stop. That will also stop any water backflowing back to the pump. So now we should be able to go and open up that pump, and yes, you will get a bit of water come up because there's always water. That's fine to get a bit of water in here. You will get a bit of water overflowing out of that basket. Let's have a look. Now the lid to this can be a little bit difficult to open, but I've loosened it off a little bit, but still it's a bit difficult to open. So, but if you keep the filter or the mesh basket in the skimmer box nice and clean, this shouldn't pick up much debris at all. But if you take that mesh out, the mesh basket out of the skimmer box, that's where it's going to end up in there. So it's easier to always keep that mesh basket in there and clean it. But if you vacuum up the pool, you have to remove that mesh basket. So when you vacuum up the pool, this is where the debris is going to go. So just tap that upside down and clear that of any debris. Also, before you can turn the pump back on, you have to remember to go back outside and remove those two bungs in the pipes, one which sucks the water in on the skimmer box and one that blows the water out. You have to make sure you remove those before you can turn the pump on, so the water can start circulating. Before we run that pump again, let's come back out here and remove those two bungs. So there's that one there. Let's give it a bit of a wiggle, and that comes off. And then we can put our elbow back in. The elbow goes on there, so it squishes the water around clockwise. And in here we come in and we have to slightly unscrew that bung, pull the bung out, and put our little basket back in and replace the lid. That's how we clean the two strainers. In the event that that gauge is reading, the needle is pointing in the red, that means our filter inside that canister needs cleaning. This is very important and very crucial to make sure that the pool stays nice and clean, and that as that pressure builds up, it will it potentially can damage and overheat the motor because it can't suck the water through the pipework and return it back because that filter is starting to get blocked. So what we need to do is turn the pump on and just check where that needle is in regards to the pressure in that canister. The pump turned on, you might get a little bit of an airlock in there, but it is flowing. So we come up and have a look at our needle, and that is now just entering the red. So that's the perfect time to wash out that filter. So the way we do that is we need to first switch off the power to the pump by disconnecting the power lead. Next step is to block off our inlets to the filter, to the pump. So that fitting there, we'll remove the elbow on our water outlet on the inside of the pool and put that bung on there, and inside the skimmer box we will remove the lid, remove the mesh cage or the basket, and put that bung in there. So let's do that. Okay, so with both bungs in, that one there and that one there, we have now stopped water flow to and from our pump. So now we can remove the lid on our pump and on our canister to reveal the filter inside to wash and hose out. Okay, the way we remove that is there's a cantilever on this filter lid. So if we open that up, now yes, you're going to get water overflowing. So once you do that, you just spread these two apart, and that clamp is easily removed. Put it up there, and we will get some water flowing out of this. So as long as we remember to put those two caps on, that's all the water we'll get. And from there we should be able to just raise that cartridge out. So this is washable, you don't throw it out unless it's damaged. So remove that out and take that out to the garden hose. Preferably do it on the pebbles. Okay, the way we clean this is we get the garden hose put on the jet, and we start from the very top and just hose it all down. You can see how it turns nice and white. So do that all the way around, being pretty thorough, as you can put it right up in the cap, and just work your way all the way down. That's what it looks like once it's done. This process takes a solid 10 minutes. You shouldn't do it for less than 10 minutes. You'll find that the more you hose, the more stuff seems to come out, especially up in that area there and that area down there. Like, especially if that's the bottom part, that was the bottom of the filter when it was sitting in the cartridge, in the canister. That's where most of the rubbish will be. So start from the top and hose down and push all that debris down. And you really got to get, give it a really good hose. Spend at least 10 minutes on the hose, on the pebbles, because the cleaner you get that, the longer it'll last and the less frequent you have to do it. As far as how frequent you have to do it, I'm not too sure. It all depends how dirty the pool gets, sunscreen, all that sort of stuff. So what you need to do is just keep an eye on that gauge, and when you see it up, when it just creeps into the red, you have to go through this process of cleaning that cartridge. As far as water quality and how to keep the water clean, I strongly suggest you go down to the local pool shop here in Campbelltown and familiarise yourself with the boys down there, and you can possibly get them to come up and give you a rundown on how to do your water testing. But you can also take your water down to them and they will test the water and tell you what chemicals to put in there. I just find some chlorine, just keep that topped up and keep doing your pH tests, and yeah, don't get too fancy with chemicals. The pool shops might try and sell you all the fancy chemicals, but you'll find just keep dosing it with chlorine, keeping that pH level up. You'll find that you'll get it clean and you'll keep it clean. Also try and vacuum it. When you see debris on the bottom, it's a bit murky down the bottom now, it needs to be cleaned. If you keep vacuuming it every once in a while, even when you go in or the kids go in, set it all up so they can vacuum and they can walk around and vacuum it up a little bit. But it's easier to vacuum from the outside because you don't stir up the water too much, because if you jump in there and start trying to vacuum, you will stir the water up and that debris, dust will float and you won't be able to vacuum it up. Okay, so now it's time to replace the filter back into the canister holder, filter holder. So just lower that in, and you'll find it has this seat. So you've got to find where there you go. So once it seats, it's got to be flush with the top of that filter housing. Just check that you've got no debris along the edge, because if you do, that will give you a water leak. So once that feels like there's no debris, grab your lid. Same with that, you'll find there's a little bit of grease around the outside. That's just to help seal. So, and that center piece there, that needs to locate in the center of that filter. So get in there, give it a bit of a push down, and that's it. That's now give it a bit of a tap. So that now has located, and then grab your clamp. Obviously this is a lot harder to do with one hand. Put that clamp around, cantilever, and what that theoretically does is it squeezes the lid together to the base. I'm just going to have to do this with two hands, sorry. You'll know that that clamp is on right and that lid is on right when there's about a thumb gap in between these two. So then you just put your lever over and pull it tight, and you can see that's now even tighter again. Thumb barely fits in there. So now what we need to do, the most important, is remove our caps so that we can allow water to start circulating through the pump before we turn the pump on. So I've removed that pipe, which is on the left hand side, and here we have to remove that bung. So a couple of turns anti-clockwise, remove the bung, replace the basket, replace the lid. These are kept inside the shed, out of the sun, out of so you don't lose them. Just keep them up that top shelf there. Okay, so now we need to come and connect the power back up, and first and foremost check for leaks. Make sure that we have no air in the system, that it's pumping. That needle should move up once I turn the pump on. So let's turn the pump on and see what happens. Okay, so I've just switched the pump on. That needle gauge is there now, well and true in the blue, about 60 kPa. So it's nice and clean, the filter's nice and clean, and it's doing its job. There's no air locks in there, because with a clean filter that will be pumping a lot more efficiently as well, and the water flow will be a lot more stronger. So, and there's no water, just run your fingers around, there's no water coming out from there, there. And if we come out here, we should see that water is flowing out, and that will slowly create a whirlpool in the pool, driving all the debris into the skimmer box. If you, the timer is currently set so that it runs between 12 o'clock during the day, noon, till 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and it also runs again at midnight till 6 a.m. You're better off running your longer cycle during the night when it's off peak, and for a couple of hours during the day when you're so cycles during the day. And also and that little arrow is pointing to the time. So let's say now it's 8:30, that's pointing at 8:30, and there's that little red button which is pushed in. If you wanted to activate this pump now, you can manually override the timer by raising that switch. If you raise that switch, that'll turn the pump on. You just have to remember to push that switch back down, otherwise the pump will continuously run. So by having that switch up, the pump will continuously run. I'll just lift the switch up and show you. So with the switch in the up position, that pump now is set to run at 12 noon, but it's currently at 8:30, and that is running. If we push that switch back down, that turns the manual override off. Okay. So the ideal water height is almost at the top of that skimmer box, and if we open up the lid of the skimmer box, you'll see that it's about 3 centimeters shy of the top. That's perfect, and that water circulating like that is exactly what you want. That's sucking any debris that's going to be coming in over the top of the pool into there and capturing it in that basket. So that is the perfect water height, and that water outlet is pointing to clockwise, therefore it's slowly creating a whirlpool for water to circulate through the pool. Thanks for watching. I hope this video helps a little. Please try and maintain the pool to the best of your ability. It will eliminate first and foremost poor water quality, therefore it'll be a healthy and hygienic pool to swim in, and secondly it will help with all the maintenance, and it will help with all the equipment to stop it from prematurely failing. Thank you very much for watching. If there's any issues, please contact your real estate agent, and they will guide you in the right direction as to seek whatever assistance you need. Thank you very much.